The giant space station floated quietly in the dark between the stars. Inside, 12 different alien races sat around a table made of glowing crystal. They had been meeting like this for over 3,000 years, making decisions that affected billions of lives across the galaxy. Elder Vexithari stood up slowly. Her old body shook as she moved. She was from the Zephyrian race, and her people lived much longer than most others. Her skin was almost see-through, and her wings were thin like paper. She had seen many things in her long life, but today she brought news that made her afraid. "The humans have learned to travel faster than light," she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone could hear her clearly. "They will reach our space in less than 2 years." The other aliens looked at each other. Some laughed. Others made sounds of disbelief. Counselor Thraknon was the biggest alien at the table. He came from the Brutaxi Empire and had 4 strong arms. His people were warriors who had conquered many worlds. "One small race from a tiny planet," Thraknon said with a laugh. "What can they do against our great fleets? We have thousands of warships. We control hundreds of star systems. They have nothing." Elder Vexithari's eyes began to glow with a dim light. This happened when her people felt strong emotions. "You do not understand. My people have been watching the humans for 500 of their years. We have seen what they do when they are in danger. We have seen how they learn and grow. They are not like any race we have ever known." Another alien spoke up. This was Quindala from the hegemony. Her people were tall and thin with long necks. They thought they were smarter than everyone else. "Elder Vexithari, you speak of old information. Any race that just learned to travel between stars cannot be a threat to us. We have been doing this for thousands of years." "You think their machines make them dangerous," Vexithari replied. "But that is not the real problem. Humans think in ways that are different from us. When we want peace and order, they accept chaos. When we count our losses and give up, they keep fighting until they die. They have words in their language that explain this. They say they will go down swinging. This means they will fight even when they know they cannot win." The room became quiet for a moment. Then more aliens began to speak. Most of them did not believe the old Zephyrian. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they could not imagine any new threat. "I have studied many races," said Dr. Kolveth from the Scientific Union. "All intelligent life follows the same basic patterns. When faced with superior force, they either submit or they fight briefly and then surrender. It is the logical thing to do. But humans are not logical in the way you think," Vexithari said. "Let me tell you what my scouts have seen. In their history, humans have been conquered many times, but they never stay conquered. They learn from their defeats, they adapt, they find new ways to fight." She walked slowly around the crystal table. Her old feet made soft sounds on the metal floor. "There was a time when one small group of humans fought against a great empire. The empire had better weapons, more soldiers, and control of the seas. But the humans hid in their forests and struck when the empire was not ready. They fought for years until the empire became tired and went away." "Primitive tactics," Thraknon said. "Our weapons can destroy entire planets. There is nowhere to hide from us." "Is there not?" Vexithari asked. "Space is very large. There are millions of places to hide. And humans are very good at hiding. They are also very good at waiting. They can plan for years, even generations, to get what they want." The elder moved to a window that looked out into space. Stars sparkled in the darkness like tiny diamonds. "There is something else that makes humans different. Most races fight for territory or resources or honor. Humans fight for ideas. They have concepts like freedom and dignity that they value more than their own lives. You cannot negotiate with an idea. You cannot kill an idea with weapons." "You make them sound like monsters," said Ambassador Rilketh from the Peaceful Worlds Alliance. Her people had not fought a war in over 1,000 years. "No," Vexithari said, turning back to face the group. "I do not think humans are evil, but they are dangerous in ways you do not understand. When they are treated fairly, they can be good friends and allies. But when they are threatened or treated badly, they become something else entirely." Returned to her place at the table. "My people have a saying, Do not corner a creature unless you are prepared to deal with its desperation. Humans are always dangerous, but they are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. The debate continued for hours. The aliens talked about human technology, human culture, human history, but most of them had already made up their minds. They saw the humans as just another primitive race that would need to be controlled and managed. Finally, the vote was called. Should the Galactic Council take special precautions against the human threat? Should they prepare for possible conflict? Should they try to limit human expansion before it began? One by one, the representatives voted no. The humans were too small, too weak, too far behind in technology to be a real threat. Only the Zephyrians refused to vote. Elder Vexithari stood again as the session ended. When the humans come, she said, her voice carrying across the great chamber, when they show you what they are truly capable of, remember this day. Remember that we tried to warn you. Remember that you chose not to listen. The other aliens filed out of the room, talking and laughing among themselves. They had more important things to worry about than one small race from the edge of the galaxy. They had trade disputes to settle, territory to divide, and their own power struggles to manage. Elder Vexithari remained alone in the chamber for a long time, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there the humans were coming, and when they arrived the galaxy would never be the same again. She whispered a prayer in her ancient language, asking the universe to forgive what was about to happen. Then she spread her thin wings and flew slowly toward her ship, carrying the weight of knowledge that no one else wanted to share. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the alien space station grow bigger on the screen in front of him. His heart was beating fast. This was the moment that would change everything for the human race. First contact with alien life. The thing that humans had dreamed about for hundreds of years was finally happening. The space station was huge. It was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Lights blinked along its surface like stars. Strange shapes stuck out from its sides. Jake had never seen anything so amazing and frightening at the same time. "Captain, we are getting signals from the station," said Lieutenant Amy Foster. She was sitting at the communications desk. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. "The computer is trying to understand their language. It should work in a few minutes." Jake nodded but did not look away from the screen. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Everyone knew how important this moment was. The whole human race was depending on them to make a good first impression. The main screen flickered and changed. Now it showed the inside of a large room filled with different types of aliens. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. He had never seen anything like them. Some were tall and thin. Others were short and wide. One had 4 arms. Another had skin that seemed to glow. A tall alien with golden skin stepped forward. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, but something about the voice made Jake feel uncomfortable. "Greetings, humans," the alien said. "I am High Ambassador Krelthon of the Galactic Hegemony. We have been watching your species for some time now." Jake took a deep breath and stepped closer to the screen. He had practiced this moment many times, but his mouth still felt dry. "Ambassador Krelthon, I am Captain Jake Morrison. I represent the United Earth Alliance. We come in peace. We want to be friends and learn from you." The ambassador's face changed slightly. Jake could not read alien expressions, but something felt wrong. "Of course you do," Krelthon said. "All new species say the same thing when they first leave their home planet. Do not worry. We are a civilized people. We will take care of you." Lieutenant Commander Ryan Hughes was sitting at the weapons station. He had been a soldier before he became a space officer. Something about the alien's words made him feel like he was being watched by a predator. He kept his face calm, but his hand moved closer to the control panel. The meeting went on for many hours. The aliens explained how their galaxy worked. They had rules about everything. New species like humans had to follow these rules exactly. They could only travel to certain star systems. They could only build certain types of ships. They could only have a small number of weapons. "These guidelines are for your own protection," Ambassador Krelthon explained. "Young species often make mistakes that hurt themselves and others. We have learned from thousands of years of experience. Trust us to guide you properly." Jake listened carefully to every word. The rules sounded reasonable on the surface, but underneath, he could hear what the alien was really saying. Humans would be treated like children. They would never be allowed to grow up or make their own choices. They would always be under alien control. "We understand your concerns about safety," Jake said carefully, "but humans value freedom very highly. We would prefer to learn from our own mistakes and grow at our own pace." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Ambassador Krelthon smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp and too white. "Freedom is a luxury that young species cannot afford. You will understand this in time. For now, you must accept our guidance. It is not a request." The threat was clear, even though the words were polite. Jake felt anger starting to build in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Of course, Ambassador. We are grateful for your wisdom. We will need time to discuss these rules with our government." "Naturally," Krelthon said. "You have 30 of your days to accept our terms. After that, we will assume you are hostile and act accordingly." The screen went dark. Jake stood quietly for a moment, thinking about what had just happened. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. They all understood that humanity had just been given a choice between slavery and war. "Amy, open a secure channel to Earth," Jake said finally. "Priority Alpha. I need to speak with President Carter and the Joint Chiefs immediately." While Amy worked to establish the connection, Ryan moved closer to his captain. "Sir, that did not feel like a friendly welcome." "No, it didn't," Jake agreed. "They think we are primitives who can be pushed around. They have no idea what humans are capable of when we are threatened." The connection to Earth was established. President Helen Carter appeared on the screen. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Behind her, Jake could see the leaders of Earth's military forces. "Captain Morrison, report," the president said. Jake told them everything that had happened. He repeated the alien demands word for word. When he finished, the room on Earth was quiet for a long moment. 30 days, said General Patricia Wells, the head of Earth's defense forces. "That is not much time." "It is enough," President Carter said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear steel underneath. "Captain Morrison, you did well. Return to Earth immediately. We have work to do." "Yes, ma'am. What should I tell the crew?" President Carter smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Tell them that humans have never bowed to bullies and we are not going to start now. Tell them that we are going to show these aliens exactly what happens when you threaten the human race." As Jake's ship turned toward Earth, none of them knew that they were being watched. Deep in the alien space station, sensors recorded every word they had spoken. The aliens were confident that humans would accept their demands. After all, every other species had done the same thing when faced with superior force. They had no idea that humans were different. They had no idea that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their refusal to give up. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The countdown to war had begun, and nobody knew it yet. 3 years had passed since humans first met the aliens. Admiral Lisa Chen of the Hegemony Defense Force sat in her office reading reports about human activities. She was bored. The humans had been surprisingly easy to control. "Look at this," she said to her assistant, a young Brutaxi named Zektar. "The humans have 12 small ships. All of them are converted cargo vessels with weak weapons. They have built colonies on only 6 worlds, all in the sectors we gave them. They follow every rule we made." Zektar looked at the data on his tablet. "The elder Vexthari said they were dangerous, but they seem very peaceful to me." "Admiral," Chen laughed. "The old Zephyrian was wrong. Humans are just like every other primitive species. When they see superior force, they submit. It is the smart thing to do." What Admiral Chen did not know was that Captain Morrison had returned to Earth with a very different message than what the aliens expected. In secret meetings with Earth's leaders, he had painted a clear picture of what humanity was really facing. "They do not see us as equals," Morrison had told President Carter and the military commanders. "They see us as pets, useful animals that can be trained and controlled." They think we will always do what they tell us because we are afraid of their power. Dr. Carl Watson, Earth's best alien expert, had studied recordings of the first contact meeting for months. Their psychology is different from ours, he explained to the Secret Council. They are used to species that either give up completely or fight in open battle. They do not understand humans who can smile while making plans. President Carter had made the decision that would change everything. We will give them what they expect to see, she said. We will appear weak and obedient. But underneath, we will prepare for the day when we show them what humans really are. The plan that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the aliens watched human colonies and counted human ships, something much bigger was happening in secret. In hidden bases throughout the solar system, Dr. Laura Mills led teams of scientists who were taking apart alien technology, but they were not trying to copy it. They were learning how it worked so they could find ways to break it. Every technology has weaknesses, Dr. Mills explained to her team. The aliens have been using the same basic designs for thousands of years. They never had to improve because no one ever challenged them. That makes them predictable. Commander Steve Parker was in charge of building new weapons. His factories were hidden inside asteroids and on the dark sides of moons. To alien sensors, they looked like mining operations. But inside, humans were building warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens build big, slow ships because they think size equals power, Parker told his engineers. We will build ships that are fast and smart. We will hit them before they know we are there, then disappear before they can hit back. But the most important part of the human plan was not the ships or the weapons. It was the people. All across human space, ordinary citizens were being trained for a war that might never come. Farmers learned to hide supplies. Teachers learned to send coded messages. Children learned to recognize alien ships and report their movements. The Human Intelligence Network was growing in ways the aliens could never imagine. Every trade meeting, every diplomatic visit, every cultural exchange was a chance for humans to learn more about their enemies. Agent Kevin Brooks had been living on the alien world of Centaura Prime for 2 years. To everyone there, he was just a human trader selling Earth goods. But Kevin was really mapping the planet's defense systems and learning how the alien government worked. The hegemony has been in power so long that they have become lazy, he reported back to Earth. Their security is based on the idea that no one would dare attack them. They have never planned for a real war. Agent Monica Hayes was working on a different kind of mission. She had convinced the aliens that she was a scientist studying galactic cultures. While they showed her around their research facilities, she was secretly copying their computer systems and learning their passwords. They trust us because they think we are harmless, she said in her coded messages. They show us their most important secrets because they believe we could never use them against them. The network of human spies grew larger every month. They were not just on alien worlds, but working inside alien organizations. Some had even joined alien military units as advisors and observers. What made this even more dangerous for the aliens was that humans did not organize like other species. Most alien races had one central command that made all the decisions. If you destroyed the command center, you destroyed their ability to fight. But humans had learned from centuries of war on their own planet. They built their resistance network, like a spiderweb. Each part could work on its own if the other parts were destroyed. There was no single point that could be attacked to stop them all. President Carter met with her War Council every week to review their progress. The meetings were held in different locations each time, and everyone used code names. Even if the aliens discovered the meetings, they would not be able to stop the larger plan. How long until we are ready? The president asked General Wells. Another 2 years minimum, the general replied. We need more ships, more weapons, and more people in position. But the important thing is that the aliens still do not suspect anything. What if they discover our preparations? General Wells smiled grimly. Then we fight with what we have. Humans have won wars with less before. Meanwhile, the aliens continued to watch and count and file reports. They saw human cargo ships moving between colonies. They did not see that many of those ships carried weapons and soldiers. They saw human research stations studying space phenomena. They did not see that those stations were really military bases in disguise. The aliens had made their biggest mistake at the very beginning. They had assumed that humans would think like they did. They expected humans to either submit completely or rebel openly. They never imagined a species that could pretend to submit while secretly preparing for war. As the third year of human-alien contact ended, Admiral Chen filed her annual report. "The human threat level remains minimal," she wrote. "They continue to follow all regulations and show no signs of military buildup. The Zephyrian warnings appear to have been unfounded. But in the depths of space, human ships were moving through the darkness, invisible to alien sensors. On dozens of worlds, human agents were gathering information and making contacts. In hidden factories, new weapons were being built every day." The countdown to revelation was almost over, and the aliens had no idea what was coming. The crisis started in the Kepler sector when human miners found something that would change everything. Deep inside an asteroid, they discovered the largest deposit of quantum crystals anyone had ever seen. These crystals were the most valuable energy source in the galaxy. Every alien civilization needed them to power their ships and cities. Under galactic law, any client species that found such crystals had to report them immediately to the Council. The crystals would then be taken away and given to more advanced civilizations who could use them properly. At least that was what the law said. The humans followed the law exactly. They sent a message to the Hegemony Defense Force saying they had found quantum crystals in the Kepler sector. They gave the exact location of their mining station. They waited for instructions on what to do next. Admiral Lisa Chen received the report while she was having breakfast on her flagship. She nearly choked on her food when she saw how much the crystals were worth. This was enough energy to power an entire star system for 100 years. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered her aide. "We are going to collect those crystals immediately and send a message to the humans. Tell them to stay away from the mining site until we arrive." 2 days later, Admiral Chen's task force reached the mining station, but when they arrived they found something impossible. The station was empty. All the equipment was gone. All the crystals were gone. Even the miners were gone. Chen was furious. She ordered her ships to surround the nearest human colony, a place called New Detroit. Her flagship dropped out of hyperspace right above the colony's main city. "Get me the colonial administrator," she demanded. A few minutes later, a middle-aged human man appeared on her screen. He looked calm and relaxed, which made Admiral Chen even more angry. His name was Tony Rodriguez, and he had been running New Detroit for 5 years. "Administrator Rodriguez," Chen said through clenched teeth. "Where are the quantum crystals? Your people have broken galactic law by removing strategic resources without permission." Rodriguez smiled politely. "With respect, Admiral, I think there has been a misunderstanding. We followed the law exactly as it was written. We reported the discovery of crystals in the Kepler sector. We never moved anything from the location we reported." "Do not play games with me, human," Chen snarled. Her species had sharp teeth, and she showed them when she was angry. "The crystals are gone. Your people are the only ones who could have taken them. Tell me where they are, or your colony will face the consequences." Rodriguez's smile never changed, but something shifted in his eyes. "Admiral, perhaps you should read your own laws more carefully. We reported finding crystals in the Kepler sector. We gave you the coordinates of one mining station, but we never said that was the only place we were working." The words hit Admiral Chen like a physical blow. She stared at the human, trying to understand what he was saying. "What do you mean?" "We have been operating 47 different mining sites throughout the Kepler sector for the past 2 years, Rodriguez explained calmly. "The station you investigated was just one of them. We reported it as required by law. The other 46 sites were never mentioned because you never asked about them." Chen felt her blood turn cold. While her people had been focused on one location, the humans had been quietly stripping crystals from dozens of sites across multiple star systems, and they had done it all within the technical boundaries of galactic law. But the crystals were just the beginning of Admiral Chen's problems. As her fleet moved to investigate other human operations, they began to discover things that should have been impossible. The human cargo ships that had been peacefully flying between colonies were not cargo ships at all. When Chen's vessels tried to board them for inspection, the ship suddenly sprouted weapons and armor plating. In minutes, they transformed from harmless transports into deadly warships. "How is this possible?" Chen demanded of her tactical officer. "The ships have modular designs," the officer reported. "They can be reconfigured for different purposes very quickly. Our sensors read them as cargo vessels because that is what they appeared to be when we scanned them." The human colonies were even more shocking. What looked like peaceful farming settlements were actually fortress worlds. The terraforming equipment that Chen's people had been watching for years suddenly revealed itself to be defensive weapon systems. Giant farming machines turned out to be mobile weapons platforms. Irrigation systems were really underground bunker networks. Even the pretty gardens around the human cities were hiding missile launchers and shield generators. But the worst discovery came when Chen tried to contact other hegemony commanders throughout the galaxy. Half of them did not respond. The other half reported that their communications were being jammed by unknown sources. "Admiral," her communications officer said nervously, "we are detecting massive fleet movements throughout human space. The sensor signatures do not match anything in our database." Chen looked at her main screen as dozens of new contacts appeared. These were not the small, converted cargo ships she expected. These were purpose-built warships, larger and more advanced than anything humans were supposed to have. The final shock came when her flagship detected an incoming transmission. The signal was strong and clear, cutting through all of their jamming attempts. "Admiral Chen, this is Fleet Admiral Sarah Davis of the Earth Defense Force. You are currently in violation of human territorial space. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces or we will consider your presence an act of war." Chen stared at the screen in disbelief. "This is impossible. Humans do not have a fleet admiral. Humans do not have an Earth Defense Force. Humans have 12 cargo ships and 6 colonies." "Admiral," her tactical officer said quietly, "I am reading over 200 human warships on our sensors. They are surrounding our position." The truth crashed down on Admiral Chen like a falling mountain. For 3 years, the humans had been playing a game that she never even knew existed. While she had been counting their few visible ships and colonies, they had been building a secret fleet that dwarfed her own forces. Every human trader who had visited alien worlds had been a spy. Every cultural exchange had been an intelligence-gathering mission. Every peaceful research station had been a disguised military base. The humans had been preparing for war from the very first day of contact. "Get me a direct line to Hegemony Command," Chen ordered. "Priority Alpha emergency." But when her communications officer tried to establish the connection, nothing happened. The network was down. Every major communication hub in hegemony space was either destroyed or under human control. Admiral Chen realized with growing horror that she was completely cut off from her own government. She had no way to call for help, no way to report what was happening, no way to warn anyone about what the humans had really been doing. On her screen, the image of Fleet Admiral Sarah Davis waited patiently for an answer. Behind her, Chen could see the bridge of a warship that looked more advanced than anything the hegemony had ever built. "Your 30 seconds are up, Admiral Chen," Davis said calmly. "What is your decision?" For the first time in her military career, Admiral Chen was completely outmatched. She was facing an enemy that had been planning this moment for years, while she had been filing reports about how harmless they were. The humans had not just hidden their true strength, they had made the aliens help them by providing technology, intelligence, and access to alien worlds. Every mistake the hegemony had made, every piece of trust they had given, had been turned into a weapon against them. The age of human compliance was over. The age of human dominance was about to begin. The war that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. For 3,000 years, galactic wars had been predictable. 2 fleets would meet in space, fight a big battle, and the loser would surrender. There were rules about how to fight and when to stop fighting. Everyone understood these rules. Humans fought differently. They did not declare war with grand speeches or formal ceremonies. They simply began tearing apart the galactic power structure piece by piece. Every alien species that had dismissed them as harmless pets suddenly found their worlds under attack by forces that seemed to appear from nowhere. Admiral Chen's flagship barely escaped from the trap at New Detroit, but her problems were just beginning. As she tried to regroup her forces, she discovered that the human attack was happening everywhere at once. Communication networks were failing throughout hegemony space. Supply convoys were disappearing. Military bases were being destroyed by invisible enemies. The human fleet that had appeared at New Detroit was not even their main force. It was just one small part of a much larger plan that had been years in the making. Fleet Admiral Sarah Davis stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Defiance, watching the tactical display. Red dots showed hegemony positions. Blue dots showed human forces. The humans were outnumbered 10-1, but the numbers did not tell the real story. Admiral, Brutaxi reinforcements are jumping into Sectors 7 and 12, reported Lieutenant Commander Ben Foster, her tactical officer. Signal Wolfpack 7 to begin harassment protocols, Davis said calmly. Let's see how well their supply lines hold up when they never know where we will hit next. The aliens quickly learned that humans had studied every galactic war in recorded history. But more importantly, humans had studied the wars on their own planet. They knew how to fight enemies that were bigger and stronger than they were. Human ships were smaller and faster than alien vessels. They worked together like hunting wolves, striking hard and fast before disappearing into the darkness of space. They did not try to hold territory like traditional fleets. Instead, they made it impossible for their enemies to hold territory either. When the Brutaxi Empire sent a battle fleet to recapture the Kepler sector, they found nothing to fight. The human ships had vanished, but as the Brutaxi fleet spread out to search for them, human raiders appeared behind their lines and destroyed their supply ships. Without fuel and ammunition, the mighty Brutaxi fleet was helpless. "Where are they?" demanded General Throckmar of the Brutaxi forces. "How can an entire fleet just disappear?" His tactical officer studied the sensor readings with confusion. "Sir, our long-range sensors show no human ships within 50 light-years, but our supply convoys keep getting attacked. It is as if the humans can become invisible." What the Brutaxi did not understand was that human ships were designed to be invisible. They used new technology that the aliens had never seen before. They could hide among asteroids, behind moons, even in the shadow of planets. They would wait patiently for days or weeks until the perfect moment to strike. But the most frustrating thing for the aliens was that humans refused to fight fair. When alien forces gathered for a major battle, the humans would simply leave. Then, while the aliens were celebrating their victory over empty space, human raiders would attack their home worlds. The hegemony tried to protect their important planets by putting defense fleets around them. But this just made things worse. While their ships were guarding planets, human forces destroyed their mining operations, their trade routes, and their communication networks. General Buck Harrison had been the administrator of New Horizon Colony when the Brutaxi Empire conquered it. The aliens expected the usual pattern. The humans would surrender, negotiate, and eventually become part of the empire. Instead, the entire human population seemed to vanish into the wilderness. But they did. Not just hide. Every day alien equipment broke down. Every night alien soldiers disappeared. Every week another alien facility was destroyed by explosions that came from nowhere. General Harrison sent a message that was broadcast across the galaxy. "You can take our worlds, but you cannot keep them. Every day you stay here will cost you more than the day before. We do not need to win every fight. We just need to make sure you lose more than you can afford." The Brutaxi Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds over the centuries. They knew how to deal with rebellions. But human resistance was different. It never stopped, never slowed down, never ran out of new ways to cause problems. "How many soldiers have we lost on New Horizon?" asked Emperor Grakthul during a military briefing. 3,000 dead, sir," reported his general. "And twice that number wounded or missing. The medical costs alone are bankrupting the occupation force." "What are our options?" The general's forearms gestured helplessly. We can withdraw and admit defeat, or we can stay and watch our army slowly die. The humans have made it impossible to win. This same conversation was happening in government buildings across the galaxy. The war had been going on for 2 years, but there had been no major battles, no conquered capitals, no clear victories for either side. Instead, there was just constant, grinding pressure that was slowly destroying the galactic economy. Trade ships were afraid to leave port because human raiders might attack them. Communication networks failed so often that governments could not coordinate their responses. Even the Galactic Council building itself was attacked 3 times by human commandos who seemed to appear out of thin air. The end came not with explosions or surrender ceremonies, but with exhaustion. The galactic powers simply could not afford to keep fighting a war they could never win. Elder Vexthari, now so old that she could barely stand, addressed the emergency session of the Galactic Council one last time. Her voice was weak, but her words cut through the chamber like a blade. "I warned you," she whispered. "I told you that humans were different. You saw their small ships and thought them weak. You saw their few colonies and thought them insignificant. But you never understood what made them truly dangerous." She gestured toward the reports of damaged space stations and ruined trade routes that covered the council table. "They do not fight to prove they are the strongest. They fight because they refuse to kneel. A species that will never kneel can never be truly defeated. They can only be contained for a while, and even that costs more than you can afford." The old Zephyrian's eyes glowed one last time with ancient wisdom. "You could have had them as friends. You could have treated them as equals. You could have learned from them as they learned from you. Instead, you chose to make them your enemies. Now you must live with the consequences." The Galactic Council voted unanimously to offer humanity full membership and equal status in galactic society. The human response came from President Carter herself and was broadcast to every world in known space. "Thank you for the offer. We will consider it. But first, we have some conditions of our own. We are forming a new alliance of worlds based on freedom and equality. Any species that believes in these principles is welcome to join us. As for the rest of you, you are welcome to apply for membership if you think you qualify." The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human expansion had begun. And throughout the galaxy, other young species who had been forced to submit to alien rule began to whisper a new word: hope. The elders had warned them about humans, but nobody had listened until it was too late. Now the galaxy belonged to those who refused to kneel, and it would never be the same again.